A Lexington County jury finding Timothy Ray Jones guilty of murdering his 5 children back in 2014 today. Our Jacob Reynolds was in court from the very beginning of jury selection through the verdict this afternoon. He joins me on set tonight to talk about this case. No emotion from Timothy Ray Jones today. I know we've talked about this in some earlier broadcasts today, but it's important to point out because throughout the duration of this trial, there have been many times when he broke down. He was sobbing uncontrollably, at least it seemed. And then today, when the verdict comes down, guilty of 5 counts of murder, stoic. There was nothing coming from him.
Well, and that was the interesting thing, is I was sitting a few rows behind him to kind of get the best view of the jury that I could, and I never saw his hand go up to his face or anything like he had been doing so many times. And it was just, you know, it was kind of strange. He just sat there, a blank face almost. And like you had said, especially when they played the tape of his confession with investigators, you know, kind of some other moments in trial, repeatedly getting upset, taking the glasses off, dabbing his eyes quite a bit. When his father testified, especially Timothy Jones Sr., he was doing that a lot. So there had been a lot of talk about the times he would show emotion, and then today, 5 guilty verdicts for the murder of his 5 children, and no expression.
Killing the children, this was never in doubt. He confessed to killing the children. The defense would have had and said, yeah, he did it, but the defense was saying he was insane when he did this. Obviously, a jury did not buy that story today.
Well, and that's kind of the risk you take with not guilty by reason of insanity, that argument that we acknowledge he did the crime, we're just arguing about mindset at that point. And there were times, even during jury selection, Boyd Young, the lead defense attorney, would say to the jurors, he even said it a few times during trial, we acknowledge what he did. We're trying to argue that at the time he did not know that legal and moral right from wrong on the evening of August 28th, 2014, when investigators say this happened. And you know, that's, like we said, the risk with those kinds of defenses. And the jury had the opportunity to say guilty but mentally ill when they still could have considered the death penalty. They still could have considered life in prison without parole. That verdict basically says, we agree you have a mental deficit, psychosis of some sort, but on the time of the crime in question, you were not insane. But they didn't even do that. They did 5 counts of guilty for all 5 children.
So we've got the 5 guilty counts of murder now. What's next in this case?
Well, and that's kind of what Judge Griffith was explaining to the jury today. All 18, those 6 alternates back, because we're not done yet. We still have phase 2, either called sentencing, punishment, whatever you want to call it. Those jurors will hear testimony again, and they'll consider, like we said, that a life in prison sentence or a death penalty sentence. And we want to play you what Judge Griffith told those jurors today after the verdict was read.
As I explained to you during jury qualifications, 2-step process. The requirement in the statute is to have a delay of an entire day before we start phase 2. Okay? Now, I gave you instructions. Consequence of any verdict weren't to be discussed or decided in those. Again, that is exactly what y'all should have done. I want y'all back to the jury room 8:45 Thursday morning. That's this afternoon, all day tomorrow down, back Thursday. Until then, same rules apply. No more discussing the case with one another. No more discussing the case, period. Like your notebooks, close them, leave them here. We're going to put them in a box for you, keep them, okay? So do not discuss the case. Do not take an interview with anybody. Don't do any research on social media, anything. Leave it alone. Relax. I've had a tough task, long 3 weeks. Told you, we'll be okay. So, that being said, thank you for your hard work. To the alternate jurors, thank y'all for y'all's patience. See y'all Thursday morning.
And it's Thursday because under state law, at least 24 hours cooling off period, right?
Right, between a verdict and the sentencing to start with those guilty verdicts, they have to have that 24-hour period. So technically, they could have come back late tomorrow afternoon, but we were told the judge really didn't want to mess with that 24-hour window, so he delayed it till Thursday morning.
I want to ask about an appeal here because the defense, have they indicated they plan to appeal today's verdict? And if so, what grounds will they appeal it on?
Well, I think almost with any case like this, you're always going to have the threat of appeal or the circumstance for appeal. And there have certainly been, not attempts obviously to appeal as the trial has gone on, but there's been motions for mistrials, some other things. I know you and I were talking about at actually the very first day, opening statements, the defense expressed concern that they think one of the prosecutors was emotional during that opening statement. Yeah, and they challenged that. They objected to it right away. There was a sidebar that the jury couldn't hear, and the judge said later he didn't see tears, he didn't think it was warranted, so they continued. So I would almost certainly expect in a case of this magnitude, especially with those mental ill aspects of it, that this will go to appeal.
Well, I appreciate your insight tonight. It's been tough having to sit there and listen to all of the details of how 5 children died at the hands of their father. It's not over just yet. Sentencing phase underway Thursday. I know you'll be there and you'll keep us updated.
Yes, sir.
Jacob, thank you so very much.